Oi! Hey guys, second video blog. Hoping maybe to do this more often. I don't know, it really depends on what people think of it. But what I'd like to do is to answer questions, and only for people who watch the video blog, because it's something special. I have 4 questions today to answer, and the first one comes from Lady Nilstria, who was also the person who sent in the first War of Wind's birthday art. She asks, if you were attacked by a skilled knife wielder, what method would you use to dispatch him? This is a question, believe it or not, I get asked a lot, mostly by my friends who don't really know what martial arts I do. The first and best self-defense, regardless of the skill of your opponent, is not to get into the situation where you need to defend yourself. I've been doing Pikiti Tersha, that's the stick and knife fighting that I do, just long enough to know how much it is that I don't know. So against a skilled knife wielder, I would be dead. Against an unskilled knife wielder, I would probably be pretty cut up. Regardless of how good you are, you will get cut during a knife fight. And you know, sometimes the least experienced people are the worst people to fight because they just pull something crazy out of their hat and you have no idea what it's going to be. Like when I'm fighting, you know, without weapons, I avoid people like that because they don't know what they're doing so much that they're almost the most dangerous people you've ever met. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's my experience. Thank you for the question. It's a good one. I have one from Tandao Kung Fu again. He asks, are characters fully fleshed out first, or do they evolve because of their environment? I'm not too sure. As a writer, a character is always just one facet of the writer's personality. You know, each character is always the writer, and if a writer tries to write someone that they are not, the characters are never real. That's kind of how it works, which is why they say you should write what you've experienced. What I've gone through is a discovery of each of these characters, especially Talon. He's the jerk of the cast, but that's what he is at first glance. And, you know, each of them deeper and deeper levels, and I know their characters because I am all of their characters. It's what led up to them being that way that is the part that I have to work on. So it's the backstory, and that doesn't mean just because I'm doing backstory that it has to be included in the story. It's for me to better understand where my characters are coming from, and that's very important whenever you're writing a story, that you know everything about that character, even if the reader doesn't. So if I asked you any question about a character you're writing, maybe not you specifically, Tandao Kung Fu, because I'm not really sure if you write fiction or not, but if I asked any writer any question about their character and they can't answer it within 10 seconds, they have not discovered their character enough and they need to work on that. Next question. This comes from Lou Graz of Cybor, and he asks, what kind of reader input do you find the most useful? I'm not too sure, but I do know which I find the least useful, and that's usually pointing out a flaw in the artwork. As an artist, I am excruciatingly aware of every shortcoming in my art, and I really don't need people pointing it out to me because I already see it, and it's already an inner battle to even post it online for people to see. And when you point it out, stuff that I already know, it's a pet peeve of mine, pointing out the obvious, it irks me, even if I don't say anything. And, yeah, see, I'm already getting angry, even thinking about that. I remember doing that in art class, where they would critique work, like, oh, that foot's off. Yeah, I'm aware of it. I'm working on it. But, you know, when you have to have a page up every week, sometimes you have to just live with the imperfections. That totally was not the answer to the question. But let's see, what do I find the most helpful is what people are liking, I guess. What resonates in the writing and in the art with the reader. Not blatant flattery, but having the confidence that something is working that I am doing is the kind of feedback that I need. And if I don't get that feedback, I kind of automatically know that something is not working, so it works both ways. And lastly, let's see, Wills42, this is all on Twitter by the way, asks, what made you get into comics? I think in like my freshman year of high school, my sister turned me on to Tiffany Ross's Alien Dice, and I remember, staying up for like 2 nights reading that. And it didn't even occur to me to make my own comic until my senior year of high school, where I had to do a art thesis for my art portfolio class. And my friend Amanda actually was like, you read comics, why don't you make a comic? And from then on, the horrible pages at the beginning that everyone has seen, that's where those came from, and little by little, I got better. And one thing I've never actually been into is reading print comics, so I never got into reading them until webcomics. I still don't even read print comics, although I do occasionally buy print works of web artists because I like to support the people that I read. But yeah, getting into making comics was my senior year of high school because I had to do something, and I definitely wanted to do my story. I just didn't know how to go about it. When I first discovered them was my sister. So it was totally not me, it was totally other people. Thank you guys, because I love comics. Speaking of that, I gave a presentation at SUNY Brockport, which is where I graduated from last year, on comics. Which was where I used my Revar cutout poster that you can see in the previous video. And, it's pretty cool going to an academic institution and talking about comics. They actually have, a 400 level comics and graphic novel class. Of course, they created it after I left because I would have loved to have taken it, but at least they have it, which is really awesome, and I think more art departments should get into that. Most people, even artists, look down on comics when they make them. I don't get it, but that's how it is. I think that's it. If you go back to the second to last birthday guest art that was posted, the novel version of the next comic page is up if you want a teaser of that. And that's it. Thanks for viewing. Hopefully next week. Feel free to ask questions in the comment area and I'll answer them in the next video blog that I do. Make sure to put, for video blog in your comment. Thanks guys. Bye.